Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
Sell the metal! Sell the metal! Sell the metal! Sell the metal! Ah!
Hey everyone, and welcome to Late Night with Cap. If you haven't guessed, this is a kind of a metal stream. I'm super excited for my upcoming guests. But before I bring them on, I want to do a couple announcements. Yes, this will be a great show with some other funny Bigfoot stories. But as you know, we had two wonderful Bigfoot stories the last two streams. They will be released on the channel here this weekend, so you can rewatch them. Read the story of Jeff. He did a great job of telling two encounters that he had. So check that out for Saturday. And then, of course, reminder: I do have a new merch store over there on mixtees.com, and that should be. Hopefully that takes off. That'd be kind of cool. There's mugs out there. There's a hat. There's a t-shirt. So you can get all that over there. I'll share the link here in a little bit in the chat in the description. But I am super excited. I am so amped to have my guest on tonight. This is Nick from 32 Flavors of Nickweiser. How you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I think it's about time our paths actually cross, because I know I've seen you show up on in chats before, and I didn't even know you had a channel till now. So I'm like, oh, look, our guy who's got a channel. I like to see this. So I'm glad to be here. And well, hey, maybe after tonight we can change that. Tonight.
Yeah,
this is good.
Yeah, so I've been a fan. I've been watching your stuff. I think for almost a year now. You've always been great with your comic book reviews and your movie reviews. You do a very unique style that I don't see quite often, where you go through like each scene of the movie. I'm not sure how you get away with it, but I won't let you.
Toxic Tuesday. Oh yeah,
yeah, Toxic Tuesday.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fantastic to have you
That's
here.
That's credit to Mark D with a C, by the way. He's a genius who thought of that idea of doing the slideshow. That was all his idea, but Mark is great with that, and we basically I guess you could say we're a diet EFAP of sorts.
Okay, all right. And you've been at it for a while too, I'm assuming.
So 3 years now. Yeah, I mean, as far as been doing this a little over 3 years. And I started making my presence aware probably within this vicinity. Probably around early 2021. That's probably when I started making my presence known. That's when I met people like Paulie Latino Slant. There's our guy I met named Jake D. Matt knew Matt from Fall Ball as well. He was one of the first guys I actually hung out with. Matt. He's one of the first guys I met in person. Because there was supposed to be a meetup in December 2020, and like most things in 2020, they got canceled. I was like, well, I already got my flight booked, and I found Matt was going anyway. I'm like, oh, sweet. I guess I'll just hang out with Matt. So,
Matt's a cool,
really good
Matt's
guy.
A cool dude. I've hung out with him before. He's actually been on this channel about a year or so ago. Yeah. He it's still posted if you want to watch it. He kind of freaked out a little bit on some stuff I showed. This is a crazy show. This is I call it a rapid fire late night talk show, where I'll show you some bad graphic design. We'll talk about some fascinating stories that we'll bring up. And then at the end of every episode, everyone's excited for is some Bigfoot thing. But this one, since you're so into metal and that's like your thing, I wanted to really go that style. I wanted to go all in and kind of have a flavor of that. And you give not only do you do comic book reviews, but you also do metal like album reviews. What made you start doing that? Was that like one of your first things, or are you just into comics?
I've always been a very big fan of I guess you could say the underground scene as far as metal is concerned. I've always been aware of a lot of great lesser known bands. And one of my biggest issues was I'll look at a lot of the big mainstream websites of these outlets, and I was not pleased with what was being covered. I just honestly, there was a genuine displeasure. And it seemed like everything was focusing about like, oh, what shoes is Lars Ulrich wearing today? Or well, what does Corey Taylor think about mowing the lawn? Stuff that I don't care about. It's not about whether I like a band or not. It's about why is this a thing? Why are we at this point? And then I think, okay, I had to do something about this. No, it's not the reason why I got a channel going, but as far as why I talk about the bands I do, like I talk about it because I want to try bring more awareness to a lot of that stuff, and whether it's a few really oddball bands from Chile or something from Switzerland. Like I'm ear to the ground. I mean, I've got over 1,000 CDs.
That's cool. That is really cool, and the fact that you still have CDs is amazing. Most people, they're sticking to the digital. So one that stands out to me is Obituary. You talked about them,
Florida boys,
and I went out on Spotify. I thought, I'll go listen to this. And I mean, I'm not too underground with metal. I'm more, I would say, your mainstream person. But that album was great. It was actually fun to listen to. I actually listened to it as I drove from Arizona to Texas to move out here.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Nice.
So that was fun to listen to.
Obituary is cool because like not only were they one of the very first, I guess you could say death metal bands. That's the subgenre that they come from. But like a lot of their peers, they had more of like a what's that? Like a very steady heartbeat type of speed. It's not as blazing. It's very a steady heartbeat. And it's almost like if Black Sabbath had screaming over it because it's fast, but it's moderately fast. Okay. It's not there to be on high pedal to the metal adrenaline rush. It's more of a steady thing. And they've been doing it now for 11 albums. And even then, with 11 albums under their belt, like it's still cool that, they're still finding new people. And it's good to know, like, you could still be a band for that long and still find new people out there. And and they're definitely a bit more known as far as what I cover, but I need to talk about that because I love those guys. And hopefully it leads to more people checking out. And the reason I discovered them was back in 2005. They had opened for Slipknot on a show on accident.
Oh no. Oh man.
Well, what happened was,
good for them.
There's supposed to be a band called Lamb of God who's supposed to open it.
Oh yeah, I know them. Yeah, I've heard of them.
And they had issues. Apparently the venue did not like their background. We'll just say that they didn't like their background, what they used to be called, and so they removed Lamb of God from the show. And then Slipknot's like, okay, well, obviously they played the show, so they threw on Obituary. And I know there's very mixed opinions as far as Slipknot goes, as far as how underground heads feel about it. And I'm not going to go into how I feel. But what I do like is that there are some guys in that band who really have their ear to the ground as what's going on, as far as lesser known stuff. When I heard that they are going to throw Obituary, I'm like, that's bold. Because there's not many bands that are as big as they are that would ever put on such an obscure band like that. So I do respect them for doing that. I think there's definitely respect to be had for anyone who say, hey, we're going to throw this band on the bill. Because usually when you have a big show, you have a big name attached to it, which it makes sense too. It brings in the tickets. But Slipknot took a chance on Obituary, and it led me to finding Obituary. So
that's that sounds like a bold move. I mean, it happens in a lot of industries, even here on YouTube it does. So before we continue on, I do want to just literally do a shout out to all the people in the chat, 'cause you have some fans in here. This is Sup JT and Nick Nickweiser from Jacob Ironsop. He's really good at doing dad jokes. He comes in and he posts them in every now. Okay, and then looks like you have a fan here, Biggles. Saying huge.
Biggles, I hung out with Biggles at we stayed at Culture Casino's content place in Orlando. Really good guy. Biggles is awesome.
He's
Love
awesome
that man.
guy. We actually lived pretty close to each other back in when I used to live in Arizona.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So then he
You're
unfortunately
an Arizona boy.
yeah, I moved to Texas and I think he cried. I think he cried that day. They've got Theme Park Casual in here saying hey. We got R2 the Icky. Howdy, what's up, man? And then here you go. I once told the family I like heavy metal. I got an iron anvil. Best GIF ever.
I wonder if he's talking about the band Anvil, or if
No,
he's
I
just
think
talking about just the actual metal.
Yeah.
Well, just because there is a band called Anvil, so that could be interpreted both ways. That's why.
Yeah, he's actually trying to do a joke there. So it didn't work out too well. Let's see here, and we got that 70s rock fan is in the house. That's good to see. Beard of Liberties here. Love it ever after. So it's good to see everyone here. This is really great. I'm super excited, like I said, about this. So when when did you start like liking comics? That's the one thing I want to. I started liking when I was a kid. And what was like your like favorite go-to when you were like character? Obviously, mine is Cap, but I was curious on you.
My first character that I became hooked on was Spider-Man. I remember this is back when 7-Eleven used to sell comic books too, and they had this thing called the spinner rack, and you could buy comics at your local 7-Eleven, not the way where it's the last 15 years where it's become strictly comic book shops. You could go to a 7-Eleven, you could go to a Walgreens, a local newspaper stand, of course, if you're in a big city. All these places had comics, and I used to live in Chirac when there was a lot less Chiraqui, and this was when the kid, an 8-year-old, 7-year-old like me could walk down the street by himself to a Walgreens to go get something, and it was totally fine. But I remember there was a 7-Eleven, and I got a Spider-Man comic. That was the very first thing, and that was my very first comic. And then I was given a reprint of the very first issue of Amazing Spider-Man.
Okay.
And I didn't even care it was a reprint. I didn't know it was a reprint. I was just happy to have that. And it was part of a birthday gift when I lived in if you ever know who Svengoolie is, he's at Horror Icon. He says Berwyn a lot. I lived in Berwyn. So I was like, okay, I got these cool Spider-Man comics. And I was hooked. Like, I thought, wow, this is the coolest thing. Like, here's this guy, once again, he's just basically like a teenager, and he has superpowers. And I thought, oh, so cool that he didn't fly, but he could shoot webs.
Yeah.
I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And then the animated series happened. And of course, that was the 90s show. And it's not my favorite Spider-Man show in retrospect, but at the time it was great because not only did it introduce me to all of Spider-Man's great list of villains, but it also introduced me to the greater Marvel universe at the time. So before the MCU, that was my MCU in a way, because that show introduced me to Daredevil. That show introduced me to Doctor Strange. It introducced me to the Fantastic Four. Like there's so many characters who I found out about that because of that show.
Yeah, the 90s were almost the what spurred all the excitement for the movies. I would say all those cartoons that came out, X-Men,
they set the stage.
Batman animation. It was. I remember every Saturday, or you would rewatch it, when it re-aired, whenever it came on. You would always.
Yeah, back in the days of the rerun. Do you remember the struggle? Dude, can I mention a story?
Sure,
when we
yeah.
had left Berwyn to go to the suburbs in Illinois. Was the day the first episode of Venom was debuting on Spider-Man the Animated Series. I was hoping to catch that early in the morning while moving day was going on, so they don't shut up the TV while all the adults are packing everything up. I was like, oh, great. Of course, the moving days when this episode lands. And I remember they almost unplugged the TV. I'm like, what are you? Like, 8-year-old me freaked out. Just keep this up for 20 more minutes. I need to see my episode. Oh, dude. I was like, don't. You want to talk about, like, that may have been an 8-year-old version of, not exactly a panic attack, but I guess you could say a freak out. Because I was just like, what are you doing? I don't get that you're all moved. I didn't want this episode. Then you adults can continue your work.
I used to, kid you not, I used to get try to get the largest bowl of for my cereal in Saturday mornings. because I lived in Phoenix, so like they all came on really early. So you had to get your big bowl
you probably
cereal.
like 6 a.m., 7
Yeah.
a.m.
And you just like literally use half the carton of milk to pour it in, and you sat there all day and pigged out on your whatever you were eating at the time, and it was great.
Cereal, actually. I don't know if they had by you guys in Arizona, but at the time they had a cereal based off the animated series, and each box came with a collector's card, and that was if you collected enough of the barcodes, they mailed them in, and they sent you a Spider-Man animated series cereal bowl. And of course, I got my bowl, man. That was a tragic day when I lost that bowl. I had that bowl with me for like 10 years.
Yeah.
It was only gotten rid of because I wore it out. That's all.
That's pretty funny. I gotta mention something here. Duke Devil 95 says Steve Rogers is Captain America. Actually, I mean, yeah, but it's
water is what?
Yeah, but you forgot.
America! Yeah. I remember my first Captain America comic. That was wild. That seriously was.
I got mine in some like random somebody gave me a stack and said, "Here, I don't need these anymore." And I was going through them, and I was like, "Oh, who's this cool?" I was a kid just like you. I'm like, I didn't really know anything. I just thought, this guy's cool. He's wearing an American flag on his chest, and I didn't really think of him as like this mega superhero. I was like, he's kind of neat. I'll read some of his stuff. And it didn't become later in life when I realized some of the messages he meant in his comics, even in the movies and all that stuff. That's when I was later, I was like, okay, what he's actually promoting or saying in his comics as far as being loyal and looking out for the small person, or even just, being that friend that everyone leans on with advice or anything like that. That's what I tried to be. And that's why I like having the show, like having conversation with everyone here who comes on, and even out there in the world and in Twitter. Every now and then I'll stand up for someone who's getting, it's crazy people out there, just weird people on Twitter.
You got that right. Got that right.
Yeah, but then once I started getting to really know him and when I really got to analyze his character, then I just went out and I tried to get as much as I could as far as his books, his comics, to really embrace, to read what he was all about. So yeah, that's what it was. And one of my favorite movies of his is Winter Soldier. I like the first one, but the Winter Soldier one, I think, really showed who he really was as a character, and where he had the struggle of like, I got to choose between my country or my friend. And I just thought that was a great movie.
It's a great way of handling a complex theme. Yeah, no, trust me. I saw from the first Iron Man up until all basically phase 1 through 3, all of them. I saw all those movies opening night. I had a good Goldberg-like WCW style streak where I saw all those movies opening night. And I remember when me and a bunch of dudes, we filled up an entire row for the Winter Soldier first showing. Row. That was you want to talk about a bragging right? That was cool. But I know you mentioned the first movie. I think the first movie doesn't get enough love, and here's why the first movie is so important. Not just because it's the first Captain America movie, but there's a small scene that I think people don't really think about, but they should, because it kind of shows you how far, I guess you could say, the mighty have fallen as far as heroes go. There's that scene where Steve, he sees that grenade and he kind of like takes cover, and he's like, guys, and he was trying to show off his sacrifice, that what he was doing was a very selfless act, that he was trying to stand up for all these guys who could honestly not give a shit less about him. And he did that anyways. And I thought, wow, that's actually because I've rewatched this movie, and it was from the director of The Rocketeer, Joe Johnston. And I thought, wow, that's actually a really great scene. I love that. And it's a small moment, but once if you're watching it just during the movie, you're thinking that's just a regular scene. But I look at him when I see then into now, he was doing things out of selflessness, whereas nowadays the heroes that come out of these current things, it's all about themselves, not doing things for the great of everyone else. I was like, wow, I don't think they realized at the time what a good scene they were making when they did that scene. And I think I give that to Joe Johnston for understanding what heroism was, being the guy who did make the Rocketeer as well.
That's a great, and there's some Rocketeer moments in that first movie too.
But it shows.
Yeah, that scene though when he did that, we're actually going to talk about a real soldier that did something. Similar, but so we're going to go ahead and kind of kick off the craziness here. Now on the show we have a few segments, and the first one we do where I show you some product that you may be interested in. I don't sponsor any of these things, but it's called As Seen on Cap. So you're a fan of Chuck Norris, right?
Oh, dude, we did the whole Chuck Norris month on Toxic Tuesday.
Did you know that he had supplements?
I had heard. I have not looked into it because I'm honestly not really knowledgeable on that type of stuff. I'll bet you my brother is, because my younger brother, he's super physically fit. I'm sure at the very minimum he knows about this, and this is so on brand for Chuck Norris.
Yeah. No, I was looking. I was like, I wonder if there's any like specific Chuck Norris products out there, and there sure is. And you can get. I mean, it's probably expensive. I don't know, but I just thought the names of these were kind of funny.
Morning
Kick. We've got. You can even meet him, I guess. Apparently, if you buy enough. And then you have. If you look here closely, this emergency food supply, gut strike, 3-hit combo are some of his top favorites there. But he'll give you 100% money back.
Wow.
I thought
I respect him. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love doing the jokes and all, but as a man, Chuck Norris, I feel like he's definitely in the line of like great, awesome, inspirational dudes. Not because of him playing a hero in the movies, but he's just an all-around dude like that. He always was that way. And
yeah,
he was like 80-something. He's still awesome. The same way Clint Eastwood's still great at 90-something. Where they really don't make them like they used to.
They don't. Well, I think maybe a lot of us should start maybe taking his supplements, and then maybe we'll be like cool as him.
Ooh, point taken, man.
R2 says, I remember when he roundhouse kicked a Burger King into a McDonald's.
Dude, Chuck Norris. You know how Ozzy Osbourne bit the head off a bat?
Say what?
Hear about that? How Ozzy Osbourne bit the head off a bat?
Oh yeah.
Well, not to be outdone, Chuck Norris bit the head off Batman.
Oh, that's pretty funny. That's pretty. Yeah, there's a lot of Chuck Norris. I think there's actually even a book for Chuck Norris isms or something like that. Really enjoyed all the unnecessary roundhouse
400 Chuck Norris jokes. I have that book.
You have that book? Okay.
Oh, I have that book. It's got a great legendary cover on, and the book says, like, in the book, this is about the most important human being on the planet. Dude, it's so great.
I think you read some of them when you were on Toxic Tuesday or one of your streams. You read some of them.
When I read some jokes. I think I did one or two every episode. That was my goal, to at least do one or two, because we did the Hitman. We did The Way of the Dragon with Bruce Lee. We did Invasion USA and Missing in Action were the 4 Chuck Norris flicks. And we'll do another Chuck Norris month because there's still so many we haven't done. Like Delta Force, Missing in Action 2. There's so many great Chuck Norris movies.
Let's see here. There are 2 books. Spencer Gifts back in the day. Yeah. Oh, don't worry about it, Vanquish. I know you're at work, man. It's good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. That's great. Yeah. What would be your favorite Chuck Norris movie?
This is tough.
I'm giving you the hard questions.
It is, because I think about this a lot. I'm always making lists in my head. Best Van Damme, best Chuck Norris, best Charles Bronson, best Kurt Russell. As far as Norris, I'm probably gonna have to go with Invasion USA.
That's a good one.
Then Lone Wolf McQuade, and then probably Delta Force. Maybe Delta Force over Lone Wolf McQuade, and somewhere in there, Missing in Action is great. Once again, and those are the only good ones. There's also really overlooked ones like the Scorpion. The Scorpion is fantastic as well. So the Norris, man, that dude. There's so many great flicks out there. Like, it's insane when you go past the ones that he is known for, realize how many overlooked gems he was involved in. Dude, watch the Scorpion. You're like,
okay,
how did I miss this? And or you look at the Hitman, like, yeah, the Hitman definitely lacks story, but it's got some great one-liners. Like he shoots the hell out of this one guy, and the guy falls to the ground, and then Chuck Norris says, "Drop dead." I laugh so hard at that scene every time I see that.
were you a fan of the Texas Ranger show, the Walker Texas Ranger?
I regret not watching that as a kid. I put off that show as a kid, and I should have not. It should have been something it was right up my alley, because I was at the time when WWF is in the Attitude Era, and they were both on USA Network. They were both. I think they even like premiered right next to each other too. I for some reason just never watched it. Maybe just because I was in my mindset, all I cared about was Stone Cold Steve Austin, the Undertaker.
Yeah.
So
I think we're in the same age group, because I do remember Stone Cold being like the coolest thing on earth, and everyone at the playground or at the school where you're hanging out, everyone tried to do like the stunners, or they're trying to do
I done a few stunners. I got a few stunned a few times myself. Dude, I got sharpshootered. I gave a figure 4. I got pedigreed. I rock bottomed a few people. Oh, you named the move, dude. I've given some. I had definitely taken some.
Yeah, like you would I remember you would go to you would leave school on Friday, and in all weekend you would literally be saying
I've
this.
been clenching my butthole in fear all week.
Because you were like, who's going to attack me on Monday? What are they going to do to me? Yeah, I remember a lot of that. So I think we're basically in that same age area where, because I'm 40, so yeah.
Oh, really? See, I thought you were younger than me. I thought you were 30.
Oh, it's all the cap
Maybe
juice,
you're taking Chuck Norris's supplements. Maybe have you been taking his supplements? Maybe that's the trick to it all. No?
No.
Oh, man.
Let's see here. The dinosaurs looked at Chuck Norris wrong once. Well, you know what happened to them.
Well, why do you think Freddy Krueger has nightmares about Chuck Norris?
Let's see here. The most impressive thing about Walker Texas Ranger is Chuck's jeans not tearing in half. Yeah, they were pretty tight. They were
well, here's another thing about those jeans. Beard of Liberty, nice to meet you. He actually had action jeans for his movies. They're called action jeans. Look up online Chuck Norris action jeans. There's a line of these too.
I think I do remember those. I think I do remember they were stretchy. I think
his pants were definitely the tightest in Invasion USA. It was like he was trying to prevent an anaconda from running loose in Florida or something.
Here you go. Chuck Norris is 83. We all need to be ordering his supplements. Yeah, if you do, make sure you tell him I sent them. He probably doesn't know who I am, but you can tell him I sent them over. Yes, action jeans. Yep.
Look it up.
You could use them, and when you're doing your yard work, you would be great. So all right, now, like I said early in the show, and if you've seen my show before, we do a thing where we go over bad graphic design, because that's what I do in my day job. I'm a graphic artist, so I like to go out and find weird, crazy designs of like, why did you do this, or like that doesn't look quite right, or they were just honest mistakes. Right now, for you, I wanted to do music albums, and we've done this before, and it gets a little weird, but some of them are metal. Maybe you might know some of them. So let's go over those, and I think you'll get a kick.
Did use.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but
no, it's okay. For your intro, I noticed you included Meshuggah in there. I'm not sure if you're aware of that, but that was Rational Gaze from Meshuggah. That was my first Meshuggah song ever. That was
all right,
1 years ago.
Yeah, all right, very cool. Now, okay, so the first one, this is kind of a thing that everybody's talking about, because Barbie's been out. I'm going to kin this. I'm kinning this. This guy was really head of the curve. I'm talking really head of the curve. This is kin by request only.
Wow. Oh, wow. Dude. Okay, so the right image, I could, a lot of dudes I could see that look can probably work in some instances, but to the left, dude, that looked like he just took a pair of scissors and then.
He literally has a different haircut. He can do it.
Up.
Yep. Yeah, that hair. I thought it was funny. I was like, there is no way there was a guy named Ken, and everyone's talking about this, Ken on Barbie. So I thought this would be perfect. Let's see. Yeah, it does sound kinky. Clearly, this was sometime during the 70s. I'm gonna say.
Oh, it's so 70s. Both images definitely share that in common, along with his mustache too, and the way the background looks too. His background, it looks like he's from like a time capsule. That's for sure.
Yeah, he's even got the wood panel. I think he's by a fence or a wood panel walls. There.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not. I don't think it's Gary Cole. It's Ken. It's Ken.
It's
by request
Ken.
only. I wonder what. I don't know what type of music he sang or recorded, but
probably disco. If I had to guess by that look, with that pop collar too, I could see those fancy colors on the inside. He was probably rocking the disco era well up until the Great Demolition at Comiskey Park.
Probably, and he probably was high off of something. He looks a little dilated there, I think. All right. So the next one, it's more down your line. You may know this band. I didn't, but this is Death Corpse Metal Tit.
Oh, I don't know this. I don't. So this is new to me. Man, that is... I don't know what to make of this cover, because it looks like it could be interpreted as nuclear, but it also looks like it could be a little bit sexual. Because it looks like is that like the cannon to shoot the cum and then like the balls right under, or is that like a cannon for weaponry? I don't know, man. This image is mixed signals galore. Then obviously the Death Corps logo is clearly a rip. Them trying to be very shameless of ripping out Death Clock from that Cartoon Network show.
Yep. This was way before that show. This was this.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe Death Clock ripped these guys off. Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a great show, by the way.
It was. I mean, a lot of the guys who were in that band, they're based off actual like musicians.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're right.
Explosion is based off of George Fisher from Cannibal Corpse. Look at a photo of George Fisher. He goes by Corpse Grinder. Look up Corpse Grinder and then look at Nathan Explosion. They are identical. And George, this is back in the early days of YouTube. There's a video that went viral of George where he talked about how much he was obsessed with World of Warcraft and how much he hated the Alliance. Okay. And trust me, you want to hear this. Even if you end up not liking Cannibal Corpse, you'll admire his passion for how much he hates the Alliance in Warcraft. It reminds me of like the geeks and gamers passion I see when they yell at each other on Mario Kart streams. He hates the Alliance.
Okay. That would be all right. Well, yeah, we could check it out. Nuclear boobs. I think that's what they're going for here. Let's see here. That had to have been drawn on a bar napkin after 6 or 7 drinks. Probably.
Doubtful. That is way too well drawn. I could see your point with the napkin. That's probably true. But after that many drinks, bro, even Charlie Sheen, if Charlie Sheen were an arse, and we all knew he could party, he couldn't draw like that, no matter how good he was on his best partying days.
Well, maybe Beard was thinking of the next one after 6 or 7 drinks.
Oh, right. Wow, dude. Wow, I have not seen this cover.
So you've seen this cover?
I have seen this one. I know the band. A few friends of mine opened for this band 5 years ago in Chicago, and it was actually a really good show.
Okay.
I remember it was a really killer show. Yeah, but right, man.
R2 says, how did they get that picture of Doomcock unmasked?
It straight up happened, man. It straight up happened.
So do you remember this album, or do you?
I don't know this album the best out of their collection, but it's got some solid jams on there. Actually, it's decent. It's got some jams. Wiart was actually a good overlooked band. Obviously, from that wave of bands, they were definitely not as big as the others, but they're still good. They still have some seriously good stuff that definitely will never be as big as like a Judas Priest or an Iron Maiden. But I still thought there was some quality stuff that they had that was equal to those guys.
Do you think there's recommend? Do you think there's a hidden meaning about Fire Down Under? You think there's
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, dude, if you look, he's got fur on his head and then he's bare skin underneath his neck. So there is a fire down under.
Yeah, I this one could give some people nightmares, I would think. Yeah. I use shred on the guitar. Okay, cool, Tim. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Maybe the clap. Maybe. Tim's talks says Guitar Hero. Did you ever play Guitar Hero?
Yeah. I mean, I remember that was a big thing when I turned 21. So it was funny watching my friends who were guitar players play because they say it threw them off balance because they're playing actual guitar to how that works. And especially when they did like the DLCs, it was cool to see songs get on there that I never thought would be on there. So yeah, there's a good amount of late nights and pizza that happened with Guitar Hero and Rock Band and all that. It was a good era. It was a really good era.
It was crazy how that took off. I remember we had someone that would play the piano, sing, do the two. Either one was on the bass and then the guitar, and then there was one other drums that someone did. So we actually had a whole band.
Nice.
I wasn't that great, but everyone else was too.
Okay.
I think you really had to have some really good hand-eye coordination to play that game. So then,
no, you have to. And it's funny, you can mess up the lyrics on Rock Band, but if you got the tonality and the pitch right, you would be considered in line as long as you got the pitch right with the vocals. Which was always funny when they did like the really heavier songs. It was just like I don't imagine people imitating these songs, but it was cool that it happened. So I do credit Rock Band and Guitar Hero for genuinely trying to add in stuff like that because they didn't have to.
Yeah. All right, so we got one more of this bad graphic design segment, and now this isn't really a rock band, but I think this guy's got a sweet ride to carry his guitar in. And this is Johnny Guitar Watson.
That looks like a banana he's riding in.
What do you think that is? A bicycle? Like a baby carriage?
I do see the bicycle bikes under. So I'd say there's a little bit of truth in what you're saying. I'm trying to figure what's on the neck of this guitar.
Let's see. That could be maybe a bikini top. Maybe I don't know. I don't. He's a real mother though. That's all I know. So
wow, don't tell Danzig. This is
oh wow, look at this. That 70s rock fan says I have that Johnny Guitar Watson album.
I believe it. 70s has a very deep catalog of like straight rock albums. So he would know. If anyone else is gonna know, if I don't know, he will definitely know. Okay. 70s knows this stuff too. He really does. That guy's very well versed.
Love it ever after says I was good at singing. My dad told me to go solo so no one could hear me. That's actually pretty funny. So yeah, there you go. I again, this is not really bad design. It's just kind of funny. So it's one of those funny ones.
It is very funny, dude. This is definitely a unique cover. I will give it credibility in that sense because this is not something I've ever seen like this before. Wow, like the fact that he's in like a stroller for adults and it almost looks like a big banana and he got the bicycles right under.
Yeah,
dude,
yeah.
This is an impressive cover in its own right.
It very is. And then sometimes, like I said, it's not all. We don't all do bad graphic design here, but we do. I also wanted to say hi to X-Wing. Good to see you, man. Always good to see you. Let's see here. So yeah, that's bad graphic design for you. Usually, we do something kind of fun where everyone kind of likes. And I always said if I ever get memberships or anything, maybe I would play it for everyone. But we have a fan favorite in the chat called the Cap Dance. I don't actually remember when it got started, but I wanted to put yours to metal. So here you go.
Thank you. I love I love it. No, I straight up do, man. That's great. Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. Some people, the only person that doesn't like it in the chat is my friend R2, and
Okay.
he just doesn't. He doesn't like the original, and the original one is this.
I'm gonna have to take your. I'm gonna be very biased here and say I definitely like the one you did better.
Okay. Well, I did both of them, so there you go.
Oh, you did both of them. Okay, well, I like the metalized version better. I won't complain. But it's
All
good that they both look cool, and the fact that you had the motions timed out with that, because I don't know how to do that stuff, so I always respect anyone who could do it. So I'm like, man, that's really cool. Even for the popular version, I do. There's a respect I have for that. There absolutely is.
Yeah, I created that when I first hit 100 subs, and I was like, oh, I want something kind of funny, silly to celebrate that. So I created that just to be fun, and it turned into this whole thing where everybody's like, you gotta have it sometime on the stream, whenever. So it's usually when we do some type of celebration. So that's me celebrating you being on the show.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be here. I remember when I think I hit 500. I remember we started using the clip of when I used to do direct donations. We made the clip of Thanos punching Captain Marvel in the face in Endgame. You want to talk a clip that I made a ton of money just from people wanting that clip on replay, dude? Thanos punching Captain Marvel.
Okay.
That got people fired up every time. I'm not joking.
It's funny, right? It's funny when you do these little things and you show them, you're like, it's no big deal, right? No one's gonna really like this. And then the people love it. And it's fun when
decides, man. You never know. You never know what takes off. And that's the beauty of the market at play, is when people see some. I didn't know Toxic Tuesday was gonna ever take off the way it did. If you had told me it was gonna go to the place that it did, I would have never, ever, ever believed that. But no, it happens. People like what they like, and yeah, we're very lucky.
Your comic group reviews are good too. When you go like you almost go page by page, and
we go all in. Yeah, we go all in, man. No, and we love doing that stuff. And once again, I have good teams on both sides of those. You have a very overly loud, very toxic group on Toxic Tuesday, and then we've got basically the comic professors when it comes to the comic shop on Friday night. So you got two different types of beasts talking very seriously on two different things. Yeah, the comic stuff, dude. We're actually doing some Star Wars EU next week, which I can't wait to do. Yeah,
very cool.
Everyone's been like, "Oh, we're gonna do some Star Wars EU." I'm like, "It's finally coming." You better be happy. You better show up.
Yeah, you better show up and settle down. Yeah, settle down. All right. Again, thanks to everyone for showing up. I know some people have come and gone, but we still got a good crowd here. That's great. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit the like and share it out. Tell people that you're here hanging out with me and Nick, because we still got a good stuff to go over. So you're a fan of pizza, right?
Oh, love it. Haven't had since yesterday.
Okay. Are you a pineapple pizza man or no pineapple pizza man?
Okay, I have a very odd centrist position on this. I don't hate it, but I don't love it.
Okay.
Put it this way. If it was at like a party per se and it was free, I will eat it. I don't think it is like this big, fantastic thing, but I don't think it's this polarizing thing either.
Okay.
It's just kind of there for me. I've given Gary Nerdrotic crap about this because he'll try to use the defense slogan of better together. I'm like, well, Gary, you are right, but that's not a compliment because that's actually an insult. Here's how it's an insult. It shows you pineapple cannot survive without pizza. Pineapple needs something in order to make itself bearable. So the pizza saves the pineapple. Pineapple doesn't save the pizza.
So you don't even like pineapple at all.
I don't like it at all. Don't like it at all. But
there's been a lot of
pizza saves it. The pizza saves it. I don't even think it's. I honestly, it still kind of confuses me, the polarization of it. It really does, because I feel like, you know how we say like the news like to distract from the real issue. I feel like pineapple is nothing more than a distraction from the real enemy, and the real enemy is anchovies.
Oh, okay. Well, you may change that. There's been a lot of news about bananas lately, and did you know the Swedes put bananas on their pizza?
No, I did not know that the Swedes do that. That looks more like, even though that looks like it looks like the bananas melted and then they threw on jalapenos.
It looks like the mushrooms. Yeah, but no, it's
Or
mushrooms
could,
and
oh yeah,
banana.
there's mushrooms there too. You're right. There's mushrooms there too. See, here's a problem with I see mushrooms and I also see nuts. I don't like nuts. I am like, and so it's yes, I'm definitely have a very hard contrarian stance on this. I don't like I'm the same thing with my chocolate. I don't want nuts in here. I don't want nuts in chocolate, and I definitely don't want on my pizza. Like for me, I'm such a purist when it comes to chocolate. It's just like if it ain't regular chocolate, I don't care. I don't want, and I know my buddy 70s, he actually loves anchovies, and we can't all be perfect 70s. I'm sorry that you feel that way, but hey, I still accept you as you are. I don't know if that is American cheese. If it is, maybe it's some really odd brand. Could be something local, maybe. I mean,
it probably is an American cheese, but yeah, I was like, I wonder if there's a pizza topping out there that could be worse than. I like pineapple on pizza, but to people that don't like it, could be worse than pineapple, and I think it's this.
I think, oh god, there's absolutely far, far, far worse. Like I said, it's straight up in the middle for me. It's just kind of there. I will never understand the polarization of it. To me, if I want sweet pizza, I would say just get anything that's a Neapolitan pizza.
Okay.
Because Neapolitan tends to really dive on the sweet sauce, and a good sweet sauce from a Neapolitan pizza, dude, trust me, that will do what pineapple cannot do, dare I say.
Well, Tim and
I love sweet. Trust me, I love sweet. I love sweet.
Okay. All right. Tim and I did an actual whole video on why the differences between why people don't like it and do. So that's actually on my channel. You can see that in the older library.
Watch it. I'm gonna watch
it. It oddly enough, it was not created by a Hawaiian. It was created by a Greek Canadian who worked for Hungry Howie's.
What?
Yeah, so he the person who created the pineapple pizza, the Hawaiian Canadian ham, pizza, was a Greek Canadian who worked at Hungry Howie's.
Greek Canadian work at Hungry Howie's. Oh, see, I did not know that. I mean, that's another thing. I like ham too. I don't like it on pizza, but I like ham. I think ham's great. I think ham is.
It is. Ham is a good. Sometimes if I don't want pepperoni, I'll go ham. So.
Yeah, literally. That was good, man. That was good. You didn't even realize you walked into a joke there.
No, I didn't. Yeah, and now I'm like, I have to go rewatch it and say, what did I say again? Because that was.
Oh my god, that is funny.
What's funny? Dude, that was good.
Let's see here. All right, so we do have a main topic on the show, and this is what I was kind of leaning toward, where like Captain America, there could be an actual real person that he's not American, but he's British. But
I remember reading this yesterday when you sent this to me before.
Yeah,
and thinking, this guy, wow. Anytime you ever want to think that you're tough or great or badass, whatever you want to use, you read this guy's story and you're like, holy crap!
Right, and
this guy did just to live,
and he had fun doing it. Now there's a lot that's happened with this guy, and we're gonna go over some of it, his story. But as you all know, this part of the section is where we do the video mode, and this week this will be cut out and as a separate video later on, so you can share with your friends. But this is the Unkillable Soldier, the story of Sir Adrian Carton D. Wiart. As you can see, he looks kind of cool looks like a badass with his mustache and his eye patch. But
I
the way,
agree.
he's also, we're not going to ruin it, but he's also lost some other things through his time. Now, he was born in May of 1880. He's Belgian, and he went to Oxford University. And basically, he got a little bored of that. He didn't want to do that. He wanted to serve in the army in over there in Great Britain, and he wanted to do something for his country. He really wanted to fight for his country. I don't know if he just liked fighting or that's what he wanted to do, but he just said, "I'm done with this Oxford University area. I'm gonna go and join the war." So he joined at 19. It's when he first joined the army, but he lied about his age. He said he was actually 25. And this is when he went to this war in South Africa. It was the second version of this. I think it's pronounced Boer War. And this is when he first got wounded. Now, this man, over time, he has been shot. He broke his back. He has been in plane crashes, all kinds of stuff. But this is the first time he actually got injured in battle. And he had wounds to his stomach and groin. Now, if that ever happened to you, I don't think I would continue on. He decided to where he was he had other dozens of injuries after this war here, but he wanted to keep moving on. He actually was in the I guess they called it the 4th Dragoons. I think that's how you pronounce it. And he was fighting down there in South Africa when he got hurt. But yeah, he basically this was his first time he got injured. And then he moved on to obviously World War I. And he was this is when stuff gets crazy. So he was so this is 1914 when he first went out there. Again, this was in Africa and down in this was more of northern Africa when the Italians were kind of invading Africa there, Somalia. So he was shot in one arm and twice in the face, losing a part of his ear and his left eye. For his actions, he received a Distinguished Service Order. So there you go. And he lived. He got shot in the face.
Oh, he lived all right. I think that if I remember correctly, in the thing that you sent me about him, he was one of those really oddball anomalies where he craved war. You know, you hear the stories from many veterans about how much like war, like I guess you could say, traumatized them and really put a bad outlook on life for them, or a really, traumatic mindset. And he's this guy who like thrived off it. That is seriously, like, reading this, the more I read, the more it shocked me.
He was pretty. What do you say nowadays? What do the kids say nowadays? He's pretty metal. I would say he's.
Oh, he was very metal before metal, straight up, man. This guy was a beast of a man.
Yeah, and so like I said, he lived. He survived these wounds. And so basically, this is when he got his eye patch. Clearly, he first started out with a uncomfortable glass eye, and he wore it long enough to convince a medical board that he was fit to fight. And then he got so upset about it, he threw it out a taxi and just wore the eye patch. So he was like, "I'm not wearing this glass eye. I don't know where it went." He threw it out the door of the taxi cab, and he's like, "I'm just gonna wear this eye patch." I think it looks a lot. I think that was good for him to do that. I think then there you go. There's a picture of him in his eye patch there. And then he went on to fight even more in the war after he healed from those wounds. But I think at this moment in my life, if I was wounded this many times, I think I would bow out and move on. Right? This guy,
dude,
did he thrive?
That's what I mean. Like he really like. Really was all about the fight, which, man, and the fact that he had everything that could happen to him, from his eye to the groin to an ear, and how a guy like this just keeps on going back for more. You don't really hear about that. Once a guy loses a leg, loses a finger, and I totally understand it too, and I respect that. Once one of those things happen, I get why you want out. I get it. This guy just like, hey, can we do more?
Yeah, and he did. He wanted to do more after this. So
he got what he wanted.
So in spring of 1915, so he went back to the infantry unit. So this was like one of the first nights that he was out there. The Germans launched an artillery barrage, and then Carton his left hand was mangled when it shattered. When his shattered watch splintered into his wrist. So he lost his left hand because he was wearing a watch that shattered into his hand. When a doctor refused to amputate the 2 dangling fingers, Carton yanked them off himself to relieve the pain. Later that year, a surgeon removed the hand. So.
Oh man, he was so primal. Like he was like a caveman, but lived in war where there was like at least a closer thing to civility and being a regular American civilian, or obviously Belgian civilian in this case. And yet he lives like he's a caveman, even though he's way past the caveman. No one, and I mean no one, and this is definitely including myself, no one can live the way this man lives today. I mean, I've not heard of him, but this is just this guy.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And so, like, the doctor's probably like, hey, look, I'm not going to take your hand off. I'm not going to take these. And he was like, just give me my own hand. And he just pops him right off. I didn't. Can you imagine being in that room, seeing him do that? You're probably like, okay. One thing he did right before we move on into one of his memoirs was he just enjoyed the war. Like he just enjoyed fighting. He just didn't. It wasn't something he thought about as a thing that was tragic or anything. It's something he liked to do. It's something he did. So again, he wanted more, like you said, even after losing a hand. So early July 1916, so World War I was still happening. Despite his disabilities, Carton D. Wiart again pursued a medical board early 1916 to certify him for general service. Attached to the infantry, he soon took command of the 8th Battalion. I'm not sure how that say that, but Gloucestershire Regiment in July at the Battle of
Gloucestershire, maybe Gloucestershire Regiment. That's my educated guess on that. Gloucestershire.
So in July, at the Battle of the Somme, the 8th was supported in a unit order to capture. So he went in again to fight more Germans. So he's like, look, I'm missing a hand. I'm missing some fingers. I'm missing an eye. I'm severely wounded. I'm going to keep being in this war. I still want to fight the good fight. So after 3 commanders fell in action, so again, this is in July of 1916, Carton took control and drove through the German line to help capture the city. He led by example. Now, this is what blew me away. One of the things that blew me away. He led by example, pulling a grenade pins with his teeth and then throwing them with his one hand to take out the Germans. After doing this, he received the Victoria Cross, and I think that's equivalent to the Medal of Honor.
Medal of Honor. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought about that too. I thought that sounds like the. Can
you imagine this guy with one hand pulling grenades with his teeth, and then you're sitting there like he's part of your command and he's your leader? You like, hell yeah, I'm going. So he, for his bravery, and coolness and determination during the severe operations of a prolonged nature, that's why he got the medal. He quoted, his citation noted, he frequently exposed himself to the organization and positions of supplies, passing unflinchingly through fire, barrage of the most intense nature. So he was just like cool as a cat when things were just happening all around him. And you've seen characters like that in movies, right? Where a guy walks in, like Chuck Norris or Van Damme. They're like really cool, right? They got explosions behind them, and they're not doing anything. This guy lived it. This guy really lived it. This guy did it. I'm pretty sure he had explosions behind him happening all the time. So yeah, it's really crazy. Let's see. Let's see. one more here. So, and now at the end of the war, by war's end, Carton he had included many more injuries, but he was always returned to the front. So every time he got hurt, he always wanted to come back. And he's like I said this before. He said, frankly, he had enjoyed the war. That he wrote. He spent his interwar years with the British military mission in Poland when that country was fighting. Fighting with the Germans and stuff like that, Soviets, Ukraine. So he was somewhere with a war at some time, surviving an ambush by Cossacks and 2 plane crashes. He was an aide de camp to the Polish king and settled in Poland in 1921. So he was. It seemed like he was always around war.
Settled, or what was left to get what, or did he say, would Alay just say, I'll take what's left of you? I think that seriously, that is like, man. Or is that, I would like to know what the settling was. That marriage, or was that retirement, or was that both? Because I would love to know what that was. Because I mean, how do you, after all that, if you guys, I guess you could say that's, once again, that must have been really genuine love to have a guy with busted, missing fingers, ear, eye, groin, to take that type of guy in your life. I mean, it definitely does take
he was married. He was married and had kids. He had all of that. He had all of that. In 1939, when pre-World War II, Germans, invaded Poland, and then they pulling him back into the British Army and into another world war. He was promoted to Major General. He led campaigns in Norway, Yugoslavia, before falling into Italian hands in 1941. So yeah, he was around pre-World War II as well. There he is. There he is. Hey, look at him. He's just, you can see his missing hand, and he's just got his pipe. He's a little bit not just. It was like nothing even phased this guy. So during the World War II and up to his death in 1963, so he was released in 1943. Prime Minister Winston Churchill appointed him a diplomatic representative to Chinese leader. Again, I think it's Chiang Kai-shek. The position from which Carton retired in 1947. He eventually settled in Ireland and died at home in 1963 of a ripe old age of 83.
Wow. Wow. My mind is even re-looking at all this stuff, because I read the entire thing you sent me yesterday. Like, what a life. And he wasn't like some famous guy where we're saying, well, like, this is just a guy who did all this, and you're reading about his story. Wow. What?
So again, he survived plane crashes. I think there was even when he was retired, he fell down some stairs and broke his back. Still lived.
I got back up. I'll fix it later. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, he actually he stepped off of I think a flight of stairs. He slipped down, breaking his back, went unconscious. And during his recovery, I guess that's another article here. They removed a huge amount of shrapnel from his body, so he had that too.
He was made of metal.
He was. Now,
literally.
It's funny that you say that. And when I was reading through this and kind of like, oh, this will be a great story to talk about. He has a book, so it's called Happy Odyssey. You can read all his memoirs there. It's autobiography. So if you want to read even more into this man, you can. But there was also I don't know if you know this band.
I definitely do. That's Sabaton.
Okay, so they actually have a song called "The Unkillable Soldier," dedicated to him.
That I did not know was about him. That gives a whole other like meaning, like, to that song. And it's cool because what's great about a band like Sabaton is that they actually have a very young fan base, and with how well versed they are in history. And I guess, there's definitely been this whole wave of kids who are not knowing history, not acknowledging history, they're putting in front of them, but with music. So there's definitely a respect to that they're putting it in their lyrics, which is funny because if you see them on stage, they don't really come off super stoked. They're coming off as guys who I guess you consider just having a good time on stage and having fun with the show.
Yeah.
But the stuff that lyrically is in there is really, really heavy stuff. It's really, and I'm figuratively speaking, it's heavy. That is cool that someone out there is acknowledging history and what happened. And well, it definitely makes you think about how good we have it now. And you got to have these in mind, especially in a day and age where we have everything so instantaneous and convenience. Also, how much easier we have in terms not just of people who guys who did that, they did that on a Monday morning. We had to be drafted if we want something to even come close like that to happening.
Yeah.
We don't realize how good we have it. When you see guys like that, that was just his ordinary life.
Yeah, and he enjoyed doing it. He knew he had to he's like, look, these things are happening around me in the world. He knew what he had to do for his country, and he just did it. Now I don't know, like you said, he might have not have existed anytime after Vietnam. I don't think our militaries that now would probably tell him to go sit down and retire or force him. I don't think he would have the clout to do what he did. There was even times where
he not allowed him. They probably would not allowed him today, or even not even just today, probably even the last 15, 20 years, like probably would not allowed a guy like that to continue. They would not been fond of him trying to go back. They're like, what are you doing? You're insane. You're going to die. He's just like, once again, another great way of reminding yourself how good we had. Because, yeah, we would not been like, even if guys like him existed today, yeah, they would never let us do this. No.
No. And there were, I mean, if you could spend hours going through that book or even some articles out there on some of the things he did. I mean, he saved people from drowning, I think one time. Yeah, it's just amazing that he even lived to be 83. And that's a long life for him. And he probably saw some shits. He probably did, and most likely did. And man, just be in a room with him and like even talk to him about some stuff, I think would be pretty crazy. Would be pretty wild.
Agree.
Yeah. But there you go. That's the main topic of the show. He was pretty metal. I would say that was pretty metal for a metal.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I'm never gonna forget that I read a story like this. Man, seriously, I will be telling my friends about this. Especially
okay, you should.
Those
And
who do not know, especially there are a lot of people within our a little corner of YouTube. There are people who do know about Sabaton. I think we should definitely let people know. Hey, just so you know, this is the guy who it's about.
Yeah,
and that is.
Yeah, and if you're new here, I know there's some new people in the chat. That's what you get. You get some jokes, some funny stuff, and really throughout the show. But then we find out some topic that we can really talk about and find interesting. Like last week, we talked about there's like these two orcas hunting great white sharks in South Africa, which I thought was pretty cool and fascinating. But we do stuff like that, so you can always find that here. Now we're kind of wrapping up here at the end of the hour, and we always have something to do with Bigfoot. Now, usually on this part of the show, I'll show some video and I'll ask you, do you think this is real? I'll show you some image. But before I do all that, do you believe in Bigfoot?
I would like to think there's a Bigfoot out there. I'm genuinely speaking, I do. I mean, we have aliens on the world. There's no way that something like this cannot exist. There's just, like I said, I'm willing to concede if I'm proven wrong, but there's been really nothing to disprove it. But there's nothing to prove it. It's just this is all speculation.
Wait, yeah, and if you watched the last two streams, I had two guests. I had Danny on, and then I Alaska Jeff, they both had 2 stories. They supposedly encountered Bigfoot when they were young, and that was, like I said, I post those videos separately on my channel. You can go check out their stories. It's pretty fascinating because when you look in their eyes when they're telling it, they saw something that they believed was Bigfoot. Now, what I'm going to show for you though is because it amazes me how many bands you know. So you may know this one. Someone actually has a album literally dedicated to Bigfoot. So I'm going to show. Let's see if you know this one. I'm sure you do. I'm pretty sure you do. If I can find it.
There's always ones that I don't. I have no problem admitting when I don't. I'm not one of those guys who pretends to know every single thing in the world. Yes, I have heard of Troglodyte. I'll admit I've not listened to this, and I definitely recognize the cover, but I'm definitely aware of Troglodyte. I am definitely aware.
Well, apparently they have a song, and here's the lyrics of a song about Bigfoot, and I think this whole entire album is literally about Bigfoot. This one's "Don't Go in the Woods."
With a cover like that, and it's called "Don't Go in the Woods." It almost sounds like they went for a concept album.
Yeah. So this one is basically, it, as you can see here, I think this whole album is literally dedicated to Bigfoot. So if you're into that and you want to listen to Bigfoot songs, you can. So there you go. I was gonna play it, but I'm not sure how YouTube will like that. So.
Oh yeah, it's so weird. YouTube is so on the suspenseful line of the on the spectrum with the music. Yeah, you never know. I need to look into that album because that is definitely telling. Like, I want to know what have I missed in the world, and I have to struggle. Even though I'm aware of the name, I gotta see what they're all about. I mean, especially if they're singing about Bigfoot, man. Crazy. I want to truly believe that there's something like that. I remember people like would deny for the longest time about there's no aliens, and yet we have the state now finally saying what people who pay attention for more than 5 minutes actually knew. And I was like, okay, we finally have that coming out, but come on, there's no way they can't be a Bigfoot. Now, should there be an acknowledgement of Bigfoot? How much longer till we have actual superheroes? Do you think someone would have tried that by now?
Oh yeah, I mean, you hear every there's a Batman in some city, right? There's always some vigilante. But superheroes, super serum, maybe.
Super serum. At least we don't have an Iron Man or a Batman at the very minimum. You would think at least at the minimum one of those two types would exist: an Iron Man or a Batman.
Yeah, I mean,
Shadow too.
I'm surprised, someone hasn't even tried this. I mean, like a super soldier.
I would love to see that happen. I straight up would.
Would you volunteer?
Yeah, I mean, I hold on. Let me minorly backtrack. I would say yes, as long as because I obviously have a family. I don't know the risk of that. If they were 18 and fully grown, then yes. Now at this current time in their life, they're small. I'd say no, but definitely if they're well adjusted in their lives, oh, absolutely, I'd do it because then I could take those chances again in my life.
Yeah, you could. I mean, you never know. Maybe one day that will happen. Maybe we'll have superheroes. Who knows? I mean, you never know. So yeah, there we go. This is so before we let's see. Oh yeah. Well, that was kind of the cat freak out was kind of the banana on the pizza. He didn't. I don't think you're gonna eat that, are you?
No, I mean, if someone puts it in front of me, maybe I'll try it. Maybe because see, when you showed that photo, I could have swore it was jalapenos because it looked like jalapenos. Jalapenos, I do like on pizza. I do like jalapeno. I think I would actually give that a strong recommend, even, but I have no desire to pay for bananas. No desire,
especially after the news that happened recently with bananas.
Oh, what did I miss in the world?
With Lizzo telling
yeah, I could get why people definitely get grossed out. I don't really get grossed out by monstrously obese mammals who do things like that. I can get why people do, because people and they see like a visual and they imagine it happened to them. I guess kind of like when you see a dude get hit in the nuts, you imagine it happening to you. I don't really get affected the same way, but I can see why people do, because it makes sense. Now there'll be bananas in the household. I mean, I got a family who likes bananas, so I gotta keep buying them.
Okay, all right, that's good. Yeah, I don't mind bananas. I just don't know if I would put it on a pizza. So do you have, before we wrap up, do you have anything you want to share with anybody that you have coming out?
I got one thing that did come out, and I'm gonna put in past tense. I did a review of ISOM number 2 that was watched and commented by the man himself, Eric July.
Oh wow. Very cool.
Now you watch that review, because it's ISOM number 2. It's also B, it's spoiler free. C, Eric July watched and commented on it. So I would say just watch that video alone. I'll have another video out Thursday or Friday. I've been on a really big comic streak as far as my videos have gone, so I'm gonna keep writing out that way. Probably around the winter, early next year, I'll get back into the metal side of things. But I've been on such a stride with the comic stuff that I've been kind of just keeping the wave going. But yeah, watch my ISOM 2 review. Watch out for another video by this weekend's end. At Friday night, we'll have the comic shop talk as well. And Thursday night, tomorrow, Thursday, I'm loaded. Tomorrow, I got Midnight's Edge After Dark, as usual. Comics Thursday night Throwdown, as usual. And I'll be hanging out with Pops as well. If you know who Pops is,
oh yeah,
I'll be hanging out with Pops as well. So
he's been wanting to
with him.
He's been wanting to come on this show, to enjoy the funness that happens here. It just has an odd schedule. So I think in September and October, I'm going to do some special show nights. Usually I only go live on Wednesdays, but I think September, October, there's a few people that have reached out to me and said, I would like to come on your show, that I apparently enjoy watching me. And so I'm going to try to make some special shows, arrangements for them. But before we do say though, I'm going to do the Cap metal dance one more time.
Do it.
Well, I hope you had a good time. I did. I thought this was great. Let's see here. Oh, and Beard says, for the record, I do approve the beard. So he approves your beard.
Which one? This guy? I approve this guy's too. I'm with you there, man.
He's talking to you. They already like the beard ears.
I thought I was thinking about you.
Yeah, this came out this way, so I literally was born with it. So let's see. He said both.
In the darkness. Oh, both. See, better answer. You can't just not acknowledge JT's. I mean, come on. How could you not?
Yeah, they even have a nickname.
If you need to know somebody's name, just ask me.
Who's that?
That is Beardy.
Beardy.
That's not his real name. That's just what I call him.
All right, Nick. Like I said, it was great. Everyone else who came in the chat and offered a comment and suggestion of all the nice things, that was great. Thank you all for showing up. And again, you can go ahead and hit the like and share it out with your friends so they can watch the replay. And just a reminder, like I said, I do have the very new merch store on mixtees.com. So if you're going out there and buying Neurotic shirts or the Popcast Bros shirts, you can go find mine. So yeah, I got some cool stuff there. I even got a mug and a hat. And look, I'm right next to George.
Ooh, nice.
So yeah, so if you want to support the show in any way, you can. You don't have to, but it would be cool to see someone wearing a hat, right? Isn't it cool to see someone wearing your shirt?
I have not done a shirt yet, but yes, it will be cool when it happens. Like when we did the Dallas meetup, I helped Culture with his merch, and yeah, I was happy for Culture because Mr. Casino obviously he's a grinder and a half, and I love when I was like helping him sell his merch. It made me happy for him to see all the things that people were wearing, and stuff, and that's why I love seeing that happen, because it lets you know, like, to me, you gotta to go out there and wear it in public. You gotta really believe in that thing, and clearly people like what Mr. Casino's doing. And I was
he's doing great.
Yeah, he is.
I even got a chip from his. I can't tell if you can see.
The green light. I got that chip too. Yeah. No, dude, that chip is what's up.
It's always fun at the meetups. If anybody can do it, I recommend it. You actually get to meet them. You meet everybody in person. Everyone, even people in the chat that don't have shows. And what I do
don't
suggest,
even comment. There's people who I've met who are lurkers, right? Wow, it's so crazy how that happens. Like this is that
was me.
Really
that was me 2 years ago. I went to a Geeks and Gamer one in Arizona, and I was like totally new to the whole scene. I was like, I only knew Ryan. I only knew our RK Outpost, and that's the only one I knew. And he, and then it just kind of spurred from there. So, but yeah, it's crazy. What I do suggest, though, if you want people to know who you are, wear something, because not everyone recognizes faces or names. So
yeah. No, logos and avatars do work.
So if you had like a name tag, a shirt, something that kind of people might recognize you. The last meetup I was at, I was at a work function, and I didn't have time to change, and I was at an actual event where I was in a black tie event, and I showed up in a suit and tie, and everybody's like, "What are you doing?" I was so excited to be there that I didn't want to change. But anyways, I'm rambling. But let's again, everyone, thanks for coming on tonight, and we'll see you next Wednesday night. And everyone else, have a good rest of the week, and we'll see you later. Bye.